Trump just issued a warning to gun owners. That sounds extreme until you see what's actually happening right now. Over 3,000 Christians were slaughtered last year in Nigeria alone, more than anywhere else on earth. And the pattern behind it should terrify every American who values the Second Amendment. Before we get into this, hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to show you connects directly to the fight we're facing here at home. Here's what's really going on, what Trump is actually threatening to do. Let's start with what President Trump put on the table, because this isn't just talk. These are actual powers he can execute. He's threatening to cut every dollar of aid flowing to Nigeria and potentially deploy American troops to stop the mass killing of Christians happening right now. Now, here's what most people don't realize. The United States sent Nigeria over $1 billion in 2024 alone, and that number has been climbing every single year since 2022 when we were only sending around $600 million. That money was supposed to stabilize the region, provide health care, and support development, to not fund a government that turns a blind eye while thousands of Christians get massacred on their own land. Trump can absolutely cut that aid without congressional approval, and he can deploy troops for up to 60 days as long as he notifies Congress within 48 hours. The real question isn't whether he has the authority. It's whether cutting the money or sending soldiers will actually stop what's become a full-scale genocide that's been running for over 2 decades. But here's the part nobody's talking about. Nigeria's government just responded by saying they'll accept help from the United States to get this under control, which is basically admitting they weren't doing anything about it before. The gun control law that made this possible. So is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than what's actually allowing this genocide to continue year after year without anyone fighting back. In 1959, Nigeria passed something called the Firearms Act, and on paper, it sounds reasonable. Just basic gun regulations. Right? Wrong. That law made it virtually impossible for ordinary Nigerian citizens to legally own or carry any firearm for self-defense. You need special licenses that regular people can never qualify for. You need police approval that never comes. And the restrictions are so severe that farmers being attacked on their own property have zero legal way to defend themselves or their families. Meanwhile, the Nigerian government and military have all the weapons they need. And here's the kicker. Illegal firearms are flooding into the hands of the extremist groups doing the killing. So, you've got law-abiding Christians who followed the rules and turned in their weapons, and now they're completely defenseless against armed militias who don't care about any Firearms Act. Sound familiar? Because this is exactly the pattern gun rights advocates have been warning about in America for decades. Disarm the good people. Criminals keep their guns and innocent bodies start piling up. The numbers they don't want you to see. Let's talk about the actual scale of what's happening, because these aren't just statistics. These are human beings who died begging for help that never came. Conservative estimates say that over 3,000 Christians were killed in Nigeria just last year. But organizations on the ground believe the real number is much higher because so many deaths in rural areas never get reported or investigated. Since the year 2000, some estimates put the total death count between 60,000 and 100,000 Christians killed in Nigeria alone. And it's not random violence either. 70% of these killings happen to farmers and their families who are targeted for their land and resources, with their Christian faith being used as the excuse to justify the slaughter. The attacks follow a clear pattern. Armed groups show up at night, burn down entire villages, kill the men, kidnap the women and children, and the Nigerian government's response is basically nothing. But here's what should really make your blood boil. While this genocide has been accelerating, American taxpayer money going to Nigeria has tripled, and somehow the violence just keeps getting worse. Why every American gun owner should pay attention. Now, you might be thinking, this is tragic. but it's happening on another continent. Why should American gun owners specifically care about Christians being killed in Africa? Because the exact same people pushing for gun control in the United States are praising countries like Nigeria for having common-sense gun laws. They point to these strict firearms acts as the model we should follow here in America, completely ignoring that those laws created the conditions for mass slaughter. Look at the pattern. Australia forced gun buybacks in 1996, and now citizens can't defend themselves during home invasions. The United Kingdom banned handguns in 1997, and knife crime exploded because criminals know nobody's armed. Nigeria restricted firearms in 1959, and now entire Christian communities are being wiped out with zero ability to fight back. Every single time a government disarms its population while keeping weapons for itself and failing to control illegal guns, innocent people die and criminals win. The Second Amendment isn't just about hunting or sport shooting. It's about preventing exactly what's happening in Nigeria right now. And the uncomfortable truth is that it absolutely could happen here if we let them strip away our rights piece by piece. Why some gun owners are getting this completely wrong. Here's where this gets personal for a lot of people, especially gun owners who've been convinced that defending yourself or your family somehow makes you part of the problem. There's this growing narrative in America that good people shouldn't need firearms, that calling the police is always enough, and that anyone who trains for self-defense is just paranoid or looking for trouble. When those Christian farmers were being attacked at night, they couldn't call for help because police stations were hours away, and the government had already made it clear they weren't coming. The average response time for rural police in Nigeria is over 3 hours. By the time help arrives, entire families are already dead, and the attackers are long gone. Even in major Nigerian cities, police response times average 45 minutes, and that's assuming they respond at all. Compare that to America, where the average police response time is 11 minutes nationally. But in rural areas, it can stretch to over 30 minutes, and during that half hour, everything you care about can be destroyed. The uncomfortable truth is that whether you're in Nigeria or Nebraska, when someone's breaking down your door at 2:00 inches the morning, you are your own first responder. And the idea that you should just wait and hope for the best has gotten more people killed than any firearm ever has. What this really means for America. So, let's connect all of this back to why Trump's warning matters and what it means for gun owners right here in the United States. What's happening in Nigeria is a preview of what happens when governments disarm populations while criminals and extremists keep their weapons. Those Nigerian Christians aren't dying because they're bad people or because they picked the wrong religion. They're dying because their government took away their ability to defend themselves and then refused to protect them. Now we're sending that same government over $1 billion a year while they allow the genocide to continue. And the only person calling it out is Trump, while his critics stay completely silent. But here's the part that should scare you. The same politicians pushing for red flag laws, magazine limits, and assault weapon bans in America are the ones who think Nigeria's gun control is reasonable. They want to create the exact same situation here, where law-abiding Americans can't get firearms while criminals have illegal guns flooding the streets. And just like in Nigeria, when the violence starts, the government won't protect you. They'll just tell you that you should have followed their laws and trusted them to keep you safe. Whether it's terrorists in Africa or lawmakers in Washington, D.C., anyone trying to disarm a population is setting the stage for innocent people to die while criminals run free. And that's not an opinion. Look, what's happening in Nigeria should be a wake-up call for every American who believes in the right to self-defense, no matter where the threat comes from. If someone's trying to disarm law-abiding citizens, the results are always the same. Innocent people lose their lives, and the bad guys win. That's just my opinion. Though, I want to hear what you think about all this. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this valuable, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.